Welcome back to Obsidian Quill Publishing, Nightmares. Tonight we return to the world of Double Crossed with its dark sequel, Fat Tony's Revenge. This is where crime collides with horror, where betrayal leaves scars, and the underworld isn't just run by mobsters, but haunted by monsters. Every story here pulls you deeper into a world of blood oaths, cryptid shadows, and the darkness that binds them. If you're hooked on these tales of fear and power, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. Every click helps this channel grow, and with your support, we can keep creating the nightmares you crave.
Nothing but my black book. That's all I got left. Names, numbers, secrets. The kind of things men would kill to keep buried. That traitor Russo. He played us. Me and my cousin Nicky. We thought we were doing the smart thing. Ratting out the boss, cutting a deal. But Russo? He had it all figured out. He led us straight into the woods, right into the middle of Pennsylvania Dutch land, like lambs to the slaughter. Said it was witness protection. Said we'd be safe. Safe from the family. Safe from the streets. But nobody warned us about the other predators out there. The ones with yellow eyes. The ones that walk on two legs at night. Nicky didn't make it. But me? Fat Tony? I ain't dead yet. And I ain't done. Russo wiped out my boss. Wiped out his soldiers. Left the whole empire wide open. And me? I crawled out of those woods alive. I went back to the city. Shared a few choice secrets from my black book with the other families. Before you know it, Fat Tony, the joke, the tag-along cousin, is a made man. Head of my own family. And the first order of business? Avenge my blood. Russo thinks he's untouchable. Thinks he's smart. But I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna break him down piece by piece. And when I'm done, he'll beg for the dogmen to finish the job instead of me. This ain't business. This ain't honor. This is personal. Russo's a dead man walking first thing I did as boss. I got everybody on board with my new managerial style. See, I wasn't Don Vito Castillo. I wasn't gonna play nice with cops, feds, or detectives sniffing around. They were a liability, and liabilities get erased. I offed 20 of them myself, and when the news broke about their corruption, the outlets went wild. Probes, investigations. They cleaned house for me. I didn't just kill my enemies. I made the world thank me for it. Then I sat down with the judges, the DA, one by one. Explained real simple. This wasn't business anymore. It was a relationship. And friends don't charge friends. Vito had been paying through the nose to keep them happy. Me, I convinced them to take 50% less. And I convinced them at gunpoint. Prison's a lot less friendly than I am. That's when I ditched the sweatsuits. Started wearing suits. Wanted to be taken serious. And trust me, I was. Then I got to the real work. Special Agent Russo, or now Lopresti. That was his real name. The one his father gave him. And that's why he was on my list. See? Don Vito put Lopresti's old man in the ground years back. Russo never forgot it, so he cooked up this whole scheme. Sold me and my cousin Nicky out, fed us to those dog things, just to settle a score. He wanted revenge. Well, now it's my turn. I put money into brains, not bullets. Hired a dozen hackers, real ghosts in the wires. Their job, track Lopresti, track the dogmen. They educate me on both. The dogmen were easy. The kids sent me images, charts, said they migrate from Kentucky to Pennsylvania like clockwork. I watched every move, every path, month by month, like I was stalking deer. Then I heard the words I'd been dying for a year and a half. They came out of the mouth of some 15-year-old genius I was paying 10 grand a month. He slides a file across the screen, shows me a grainy image, says, I found Lopresti. I lean in. Driver's license, Filipino, Ed Taylor. New name, new life. Is this good? I asked him. The kid just smirks. Hacked the database this morning. My plan was simple. Snatch Lopresti and drop him in the same meat grinder he dropped me in. Poetic justice. So I sent 6 of my best guys, professionals. Gave them specific instructions. Bring him back one piece. And they didn't disappoint. 3 days later at 10 p.m., They're standing in my office with Lopresti and his brand new wife in tow. I do that slow turn around in the chair a villain does in the movies. He looks at me, eyes wide, voice cracking. Fat Tony. How? How did I survive? How did I get all this? It's the same answer, Lopresti. I used my wits. I noticed he had a few bumps, a couple bruises on his face. That wasn't part of the deal. I said one piece. I turned to my crew and asked, who hit him? My orders were specific. No scars, no bruises. I want him in shape. One of my guys, a punk we call Cheese, raises his hand. Tony, he was uncooperative. I had to get him in. Bang! He drops dead right there. Bullet to the skull. See, you can't have the muscle thinking they know better than the brain. And a lesson like that? It motivates the rest of the crew and the hostages to follow orders to the letter. I holster my piece, look back at Lopresti and his little Filipino gal, and smile. I'm hungry. You hungry? Let's eat. Get in the car. As we crossed into the parking lot, the night air felt heavy, charged. The neon sign for the parking lot flickered above, like it knew something bad was about to happen. I walked slow, steady, my shoes echoing on the cracked pavement. Lopresti stumbled a step behind me, Marie close to his side. Her eyes darted everywhere. To the road, to the cars, to the shadows, looking for an opening that didn't exist. And me? I was giddy. Couldn't help it. Power hummed through me. My plans, the ones I'd plotted for, killed for, were finally coming full circle. I thought back to that day on the horse and buggy when the Amish farmer found me tired, scared barely I was nothing back then. Now I was everything. I stopped, turned slow, and let the silence hang until I could feel it pressing down on both of them. Lopresti looked me in the eye. He knew. Marie clutched his arm like a grip could keep him tethered to this world. That's when I spoke, real soft, almost polite. My apologies, Lopresti. My men. Sometimes they're a little overzealous. I let the words hang in the cool night air, then leaned just enough to make sure he felt it. Allow me to make it up to you. Dinner. You and your wife, Marie. The sound of her name snapped him like a whip. His head jerked up, eyes wide. He hadn't told me her name. Not once. I smiled. Watched the fear crawl across his face. The kind of fear that don't fade. The kind that digs in deep and festers. And in that moment, in that parking lot under the lights, he understood something. This wasn't business. This was hell. And I was the devil driving the car. We slid into the black SUV. He tried to play noble, whispering, Tony, let her go. This is between you and me. I cut him off, like how it was between my cousin and me. God rest his soul. I crossed myself slow, made sure the weight of it hit him. No, Lopresti, you need to understand the pain you caused me. The drive was quiet, just the hum of the engine and the sound of Marie's breathing in the back. I took them to a little spot out in Long Island, a restaurant I'd been a silent partner in for a couple of months. My table, my rules. We sat down. I ordered. They didn't touch a thing, too scared to eat. So I leaned across the table, gave them both a smile. Might as well enjoy it. You got 48 hours left, that's what I told him. Lopresti clenched his jaw, fork gripped tight like he wanted to stab me instead of his plate. Finally, he muttered, voice low but firm, You can't scare me, Tony. You were a second-rate thug then and you're second-rate now? I leaned forward slow, let the words hang like smoke in the air. My smile faded. For this to work, I need you alive, Agent. But her, Marie, I banged the table in her direction. Just a single slap of my hand on the wood. She jumped like I'd fired a shot. I don't need her. I could put a bullet in her skull right now and toss her in the Hudson. Easy. No fuss. No muss. Done. The words hit like a hammer. Her eyes went wide, breath catching sharp in her throat. Across from me, Lopresti's hand locked around his fork so tight his knuckles turned bone white. I leaned forward, slow, closing the distance inch by inch. My voice dropped to a whisper. Low, lethal, sharp enough to cut glass. But I know you, Russo. You're a good husband. You like being a good husband, which means you'll do what I say, because her life depends on it. Marie trembled, staring down at her untouched plate. Lopresti's chest rose and fell, rage boiling under the surface, but helpless. I let the silence stretch until it smothered the room. Then I whispered the nail in the coffin. The only reason she's still breathing is because I want you to know I'm in charge, and you're gonna obey me. Every step, every breath. You belong to me now. The fight drained out of him in an instant. His shoulders slumped, his eyes dropped. The fork scraped weakly against the porcelain, rattling like his hands couldn't hold steady anymore. And me? I leaned back, smiling slow, watching him break piece by piece, exactly the way I planned. I guess Lopresti figured he couldn't do nothing but eat. His fork shook with every bite of linguine and marinara, his wife Marie picking at the chicken like it might be poisoned. They chewed slow, eyes darting to me, knowing each mouthful brought him closer to the end. The road was alive that night. The hum of tires, the hiss of passing cars, the rumble of 18-wheelers shaking the asphalt. Crickets sang in the ditches, filling the silence we weren't speaking. But inside the SUV, the air was thick. Marie sat rigid, eyes darting, nerves shot. Lopresti was stone-faced, staring out the window like the world outside had the answers. Finally, Marie broke. Her voice trembled, soft but sharp. Ed, why is he calling you Lopresti? Lopresti froze, said nothing, just turned his head, looked away, jaw clenched tight. I couldn't help it. I laughed, low at first, then loud enough to make them both jump. Oh boy, he didn't tell you, huh? Didn't tell you about his past. Guess you didn't do your homework, young lady. Either that or you just saw a rich American and stopped asking questions. Shame. Marie's breath hitched. She turned toward him, eyes wide, searching his face. He still wouldn't meet her gaze. I leaned forward, voice dropping like poison. This man killed my cousin, and now I'm returning the favor. After that, the two of them spoke in Filipino. Quick, sharp. Sounded like a fight, words cracking back and forth like broken glass. I caught enough to know the marriage was already cracking. Poor kid. So I decided to put the nail in the coffin. You know, Marie, I said, leaning back with a smile, marriage vows are funny things. Till death do us part, right? Well, yours will be over when we reach Ohio. I had to admit, Lopresti had guts. He didn't beg, didn't plead. Just sat there in the SUV, muttering curses under his breath like they were prayers. We made a bathroom stop outside Pittsburgh. That's when Marie tried to run, bolted like lightning. I laughed. She showed more spunk in those 30 seconds than Lopresti had the whole ride. Shame, really. She was in on this mess by marriage alone. Wrong man, wrong life. But that didn't matter. This wasn't business. This was personal. And I hated the man she married with every fiber of my being. By 7 a.m., we drove up to this old farmhouse in Ohio. Small, rotting, but perfect. I opened the door, looked Lopresti dead in the eye, and smiled. Just like Pennsylvania, agent. Maybe not all the modern perks you had back then, but it's got everything else. I lifted my hand and motioned toward the tree line. The color drained out of his face, white as a sheet. He looked from me to Marie, to the woods, and that's when the panic hit him. He lunged, snarling, voice breaking. You bastard! You don't know what you're doing! They'll kill everyone! My men grabbed him, forced him back. He kicked, thrashed, spit like an animal. I stepped in close, calm, smiling as I twisted the knife. No, Russo, they won't kill everyone. They'll kill you, and your wife. I'll be long gone. His rage turned to silence. Just the sound of his breath, ragged and furious, as my men held him fast. I gave the order without looking back. Put them both upstairs, middle bedroom. Try and get some sleep, because you're gonna need it. My men dragged Lopresti and Marie off. She whimpered, tried to dig her heels into the floor, but it didn't matter. The chains rattled as they pulled her up the stairs, her pleas fading into the walls. The place stank. Mold, rot, wood left to die in the damp. But I didn't choose it for the ambiance. I chose it because this house sat right on the Dogman migration path. The path I'd been studying, tracking, dreaming about for months. The sun was just breaking through the trees when I stepped out the back door. The air was wet, heavy with fog rolling low over the lake. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the notes, patterns, sightings, dates. If I was right, they'd be here, just like before. I waved two of my guys to follow. Their boots crunched on the frost-tipped grass as we made our way down to the shore. "Mr. Grazzi, what exactly are we looking for?" one of them whispered. I raised a hand. Silence. My eyes scanned the mud at the water's edge, and then, there. "Footprints," I muttered, pressed deep, heavy, canine, facing the water. Too wide, too sunken to belong to anything natural. "Bingo!" My guy squinted nervous. "Could be a bear." I let out a low chuckle that didn't reach my eyes. "It ain't no bear. Trust me. It's an 8-foot fang nightmare. And if you don't shut your mouth, you'll meet it up close and personal." That's when it hit me. That feeling. Heavy. Cold. Like a weight settling on my chest. Eyes. Something was watching us. The woods across the lake stirred. The fog shifted. And then it stepped out. Holy shit. It was enormous. Black fur slick and glinting against the pale morning sun. Ears tall and sharp. Shoulders broad as a bull. It let out a growl low and guttural. The kind of sound that doesn't just shake the air, it shakes you. Then it moved out of the shadows. Slow, deliberate, like it wanted us to see it. To fear it. The head alone was monstrous, wide as a man's torso. The snout long, wolfish, but wrong. And when it opened its mouth, rows of jagged teeth. Strings of saliva dripping down, shining like acid in the light. That mouth, that's what froze me. That mouth was made for one thing, tearing. It stood clear across the lake. But when it roared, the sound slammed into me so hard, I swore it was nose to nose, breathing death straight into my chest. That's when I heard it, a low thud of a footstep behind us. Another one. It had crept up silent, towering over my guy like a shadow come to life, blocking out the daylight in its monstrous silhouette. Its yellow eyes burned straight through him, breath sharp and heavy like steam from a furnace. He didn't turn. He just froze, looking up. And the last things, getting wide. It came down in one motion. Teeth clamped over his skull, long, powerful arms locking him in place. Then the sound, wet, tearing, as the jaw tightened and ripped his head clean from his shoulders. Jagged flesh, bone, blood spraying skyward like a fountain. The beast held what was left of him, lifting the corpse like it weighed nothing, ready to bolt back into the woods. My other guy panicked. He opened fire, bullets hitting the creature's cracking through the fur as it wailed in pain. "No!" I screamed. But it was too late. The gunfire and the wailing stirred the rest of them. The one on the far bank let out a roar, then dove in. Water exploded upward as it swam fast. Too fast. Straight for us. That's when I ran. Heart pounding, legs burning, I ran. Left him there, still firing, screaming. I didn't look back, but I heard it. His scream cut short. The howl of the beast echoing after it. Then the thunder of claws on earth as they gave chase. By the time I hit the porch and slammed the farmhouse door shut, they were there. The wall shook. The wood cracked. Their bodies slammed into the door, claws raking. The sound of monsters trying to tear their way inside. And in that moment, standing in the farmhouse with blood still on my clothes, I knew they were here, and they wanted in. The back door was splitting, every slam shaking the frame, the hinges bending, screaming under the weight of something massive trying to force its way through. Splinters flew across the floor. One more hit, and it would come off. "Bring them down here!" I roared. My men dragged Lopresti and Marie, chains clattering against the stairs, their faces pale, eyes wide, but Lopresti's jaw was set, curses spilling under his breath. "They're the bait," I snarled. "Make them run. Let the monsters chase them like they chased me that night." But before I could shove him forward, another sound bled into the chaos. Claws on wood, scraping, tearing. My blood ran cold. They weren't just at the door. They were scaling the house. Glass shattered upstairs, windows blown out one after another. Heavy thuds shook the ceiling as things moved above us, huge and fast. Dust drifted down in the light beams, dancing like ash in a fire. I shoved Lopresti toward the door, fury masking the tremor in my chest. "Time for you to die, Agent." He planted his feet, refused to move. His eyes locked on mine, and for the first time, there was no fear, only fire. "No, Tony. We all die today. It's mating season. And when they're done, they don't leave. They feed. You should have thought this through." As if to prove him right, the ceiling groaned. The upstairs hallway thundered with claws raking against wood. Then, crash. A picture frame fell, glass exploding against the floorboards. Another slammed down, then another. The walls trembling as the weight above us grew heavier. The house seemed to breathe with them. Every groan of the floorboards, every scrape of claws. And then it happened. From the back hallway near the kitchen came the sharp snap of a doorframe giving way. The air turned thick, sour with the stench of wet fur and rot. A shadow moved in the hall. Heavy, deliberate. The first one was inside. We heard it before we saw it. The floorboards above us groaned. Then the scratching started. Heavy claws, gouging deep, ripping through wood. Splinters rained down as it dug like the house itself was prey. Then, crack. The ceiling split open. A massive claw punched through. Then another. Boards snapped, dust poured down, and its head shoved into the opening. Jaws gnashing, teeth snapping inches above us. Yellow eyes blazing, locked on us like we were already meat in its mouth. We dropped low, scrambling across the floor, ducking away from the raining debris, trying to move toward the front of the house. That's when the back door gave out. One slam, two. Then it exploded inward. The whole frame ripped off the hinges. They poured in. Shadows. Snarls. The smell of wet fur and blood. The house filled with their howls, deafening, shaking the walls, rattling every picture frame until they fell and shattered. My men panicked, yelling, shoving each other, fighting to get to the front door. Their hands fumbled at the locks, yanking it open. There, the SUV right outside. Wide open, sunlight glinting off the windshield like salvation. But the sound behind us. Oh God, the sound. Claws raking the walls, heavy bodies crashing into furniture, the floorboards trembling under their charge. One of them dropped from the hole above, landing hard behind us, the floor quaking with the impact. Its claws scraped the tile, slow at first, then faster, tearing grooves as it crept closer. We thought the front door was escape. Lopresti and Marie went first, scrambling out into the yard. I was right behind them when I heard it. 2 of my bodyguards left. Only 2. The first guy didn't even last 10 seconds. A shadow ripped out of the dark faster than a thought, slamming into him sideways. Teeth flashed, claws tore, and he went down screaming. His cries were shrill, desperate, tearing through the night, until the snarls drowned him out. Then came the wet sounds, ripping, tearing, chewing. His voice cut off in a gurgle as they fed, tearing chunks from his body while he was still twitching. The other one, God help him, fought like hell. He kept firing, magazine emptying in stuttering bursts, each muzzle flash cutting through the chaos like lightning. For a heartbeat, I thought maybe he'd hold them off. Maybe we had a chance. Then it came from above. Something massive dropped like a nightmare from the roof, jaws locking on his gun arm. One violent twist. Snap. The sound cracked louder than the gunfire. His arm was gone, torn clean off from the elbow down, gun still clutched in the severed hand. He dropped, howling, blood spraying in sick arcs across the dirt, steam rising in the cold morning air. His screams shredded the silence, desperate, broken, inhuman. Lopresti lunged, caught him before he hit the ground, dragging the dead weight with one arm, shoving Marie forward with the other. They staggered to the SUV, Marie's face wet with tears, her voice a panicked blur I couldn't even understand. She dove inside and Lopresti slammed her door shut just as a dogman hit the truck full force. The impact was like a wrecking ball. Metal screamed. The SUV groaned and skidded sideways 5 feet across the dirt. I raised my pistol, firing wild through the glass, the muzzle flash lighting up their faces, snarling, frothing, eyes burning like fire. Lopresti jammed the keys, engine howling, tires spinning. Dirt spat out behind us as the truck clawed at the ground for traction. In the back seat, Marie had her hands pressed to the bodyguard stump, blood pouring hot between her fingers. She tried to tie a tourniquet with trembling hands, face pale as chalk, whispering prayers under her breath. Then, the rear window exploded. Glass rained down in glittering shards. A clawed arm shot through the opening, impossibly fast, ripping the tourniquet away and seizing them both. Marie's scream split the air. In one brutal motion, the beast yanked her and the bodyguard straight out of the SUV. Her voice turned to shrieks of agony as it shredded her in the daylight, jaws snapping her bones like kindling. Blood sprayed across the dirt, painting the side of the truck. Lopresti's head snapped back. His scream tore out of him, raw and ragged as he watched his wife die in pieces. His hands shook on the wheel, tears and rage blinding him. He didn't see the ditch. The SUV slammed down nose first, metal crunching, the world tilting hard. Tires spun uselessly in the mud, engine roaring in protest. We were stuck. The pack was coming. Lopresti sat slumped behind the crumpled steering wheel, his face slick with blood from the gash on his head. He looked at me, eyes glassy but still burning, and asked, "How'd you even survive that night, Tony?" I couldn't help it. I chuckled. I just ran. Ran till the thing got tired of chasing me, and crap in my pants. Might have helped. For a second he actually laughed. Weak, but real. Then he lifted his eyes to the rearview mirror and his smile died. "They're about 20 yards out," he muttered. His voice was steady, calm, too calm. "Think you can run without crapping yourself this time?" I swallowed hard and nodded. Freaking A. Lopresti's hand came up, trembling but sure. "You'll need a distraction. Give me a gun. Start running when you hear the shots. And don't stop. Your cousin Nicky needs to be avenged." I always liked him. I hesitated, but something in his eyes told me he'd already made his choice. I handed him the pistol. He took a breath, then kicked the mangled door open. The cold morning air rushed in, carrying the stench of wet fur and blood. The dogmen were closer now, low growls rumbling like thunder. Lopresti stepped out, battered but unbowed. He turned once, locking eyes with me, his voice steady, almost proud. "I've hated your guts from the start, Tony. F you. But hear this, the bosses hate you even more. They're praying you fail, so make them choke on it. Make them regret ever doubting you. Now run." Then he spun, raised the pistol, and opened fire. The ditch lit up with muzzle flashes, bullets cracking. The dogman roared, lunged. He met them head on, a broken man facing nightmares. I ran. I didn't look back, not once. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs gave out, until the lights of a gas station cut through the black. I staggered inside, collapsed on the floor, and sat there with a Diet Coke in my hand, breathing heavy. And for the first time in my life, I felt something strange. Admiration. Lopresti died the way I never could, staring monsters in the face, and still finding the time to tell me I wasn't shit as a boss, but I could be. By the time my ride showed up, I had it figured out. The other heads of the families, my so-called allies, they were the real problem. Always watching, always whispering, always waiting for me to slip. So I came up with the perfect solution. Drop them in the woods. Not just any woods. Those woods. With those things. Dogman territory. Sounds insane, right? But listen. 3 Dons are already airborne as I'm talking to you. A private chopper, smooth as silk, cutting through the morning sky. Destination, Kentucky. Land between the lakes. You ever been there? Big, dark, endless. No law, no neighbors. Just shadows, silence, and the pack. If my hunch is right, those things down there won't just tear them apart. They'll erase them. No bodies, no evidence, no questions, no rivals, just teeth and screams.
After that night, Fat Tony rose as the most feared Don in Mafia history. Some whispered he killed everyone who crossed him. Others swore he fed them to his dogs. Either way, as he sat overlooking the city, cigar smoke curling in the night air, Tony knew his reign had only just begun. Thanks for watching Fat Tony's Revenge, brought to you by Obsidian Quill Publishing, Nightmares. If you crave more dark tales, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. The shadows are only getting deeper. And remember,